JV's true identity was finally revealed. Who would have thought? The one who looked most like a zombie was actually a sharp-looking young man with glowing green eyes. And more shocking, he was the very first child ever born between two zombies. Centuries ago, the world had been swallowed by a sudden zombie outbreak. Humanity, desperate to survive, was forced into hiding at the edges of the world, building massive walls to keep the undead out. With nothing but primitive weapons, they struggled to defend themselves. Until one day, the creation of a new military division changed everything. Its members possessed terrifying power, sometimes even more brutal than the zombies themselves. In less than 10 years, they drove the zombies back. Captured zombies were turned into living generators. Others were auctioned off like goods on display. They even built zombie zoos for people's entertainment. The few zombies who escaped formed scattered tribes, forced to hide at the world's edges. They clung to survival by drinking discarded oil and scavenging trash. After centuries of mindless wandering, at last, a female zombie began to awaken her thoughts. She couldn't understand, why were humans so strong? How did they build civilization? So she began imitating them. 3 meals a day, go to bed early, waking with the sun. In the end, she reached a conclusion. The reason humans could build civilization was because they could reproduce. So she imitated them, wandering the streets every day, trying to attract mates. And one day, to her shock, she discovered she was truly pregnant. After a long, grueling 13 months, she gave birth to the very first zombie child and named him JV. But JV's childhood was nothing short of miserable. Ever since his mother became the only pregnant zombie, she had been targeted by hostile stares, bullied and shunned by her own kind. And once JV was born, they cast her out completely as an abomination. To protect and raise her infant son, she roamed across ruined cities, trying to join other zombie groups. But every time, they rejected her as an outcast. At last, for the sake of JV's future, she chose to settle near human society. But with her monstrous appearance, she could never step openly among humans. So it fell to little 3-year-old JV to beg on the streets, barely keeping them alive. Under his zombie mother's care, JV slowly grew up, always living in the city disguised as a human. As he grew older, with compulsory education enforced by humans, JV began attending school during the day. At night, he worked part-time in small shops. Thanks to his zombie stamina, he never felt tired, and on weekends he even took multiple jobs to help with the bills. Sometimes he was overwhelmed by the urge to devour humans, but he forced himself to hold back. After all, his mother had risked her life to bring him here, hoping he could live like a real human. So he made a silent vow. He would study hard, and one day, by his own hands, buy his mom a car and a big house. But everything shattered when a sudden zombie outbreak hit the city. To save his senior classmate, JV had no choice but to reveal his true nature and transform into a zombie. And on his very first day at work, after firing the boss of Mill Powder Store No. 1, his life took a drastic turn. That day, 17-year-old JV, under his senior's introduction, started working in a supermarket. Seeing him standing there blankly, the senior scolded, "What are you spacing out for? Hurry up and help." Snapping out of it, he quickly stepped forward and took the box from her hands. Just as she let out a sigh of relief, she immediately noticed the wounds on his face. Without hesitation, she pulled him behind the counter, carefully tending to his injuries while asking if he had been bullied again. The truth was, as a zombie living among humans, he was terrified of them. His timidity made him an easy target for bullies. The senior lectured him, "Humans are cruel. Bullying happens all the time. If you keep looking weak, of course they'll pick on you. But if you fight back, no one will dare mess with you." "Got it." With his head lowered, JV muttered softly, "Got it." Just then, the supermarket boss walked over. "Customers are here, go greet them." Outside, a truck had pulled up. JV thought it was Jiangxi delivering supplies for the townsfolk, but it turned out to be just a random hauler. The senior hurried to the shelves, searching for the requested goods. But as she bent down to check the labels, the boss suddenly appeared behind her, pulling out his phone to snap photos. This scene was caught by JV. When the boss turned his gaze toward him, JV instantly looked away, stammering that he hadn't seen anything. Still, the boss grabbed him by the collar and snarled, "Kid, you'd better keep your mouth shut." Then he ordered him to take the driver to the warehouse to haul cargo. On the way, the driver warned him, "That boss is infamous around here. 60. He lures college girls in with high pay, then preys on them. Your senior, she might not escape his claws." JV's mind spun. Save her, or stay silent. Suddenly, a chilling roar echoed from a distance. A sound he knew all too well. Zombies. They were launching an attack on the city. The driver leaned out, scanning the streets nervously. But JV ignored him, jumped out of the truck, and bolted straight back toward the supermarket. When he arrived, the sight before him left him stunned. In front of the Milk Powder #1 supermarket, the bitten humans were already mutating, and the infected boss shoved the senior to the ground. With a twisted grin, he forced her legs apart. "I'm dying anyway, so before I go, you're mine." But before he could finish his words, his face stiffened. Something was wrong. His cheek twisted and warped as his body began to mutate. The senior let out a sharp scream. Hearing it, JV's heart jolted. He froze, torn in hesitation. His mother's warning echoed in his mind. This city wasn't easy to reach. Never cause trouble, and never let anyone see your true form. Understand? That was why he had endured humiliation all this time, swallowing every insult. But now, with his senior in danger, he could no longer hold back. His left hand instantly morphed into a giant saw. His face and hair shifted as well, changing before their eyes. In the blink of an eye, he became the JV we all knew. As the snarling zombies charged, JV slashed with a sharp shichike, vanishing and reappearing behind them. The street rang with wet, slicing sounds, pa-pew. In an instant, the zombies were hacked into pieces, just as the mutated boss reached for the senior. A sickening squelch rang out. His body was split clean in half. When the senior dared to open her eyes again, she saw JV carving up the boss's corpse, muttering through clenched teeth, "You think you can bully me? Come on, get up and try again." By now, the boss was nothing but mangled chunks. Horrified, the senior squeezed her eyes shut, unable to look any longer. Just then, several zombies staggered toward them. JV stepped into the doorway, blocking the path. His voice turned cold. "One more step, and you're dead." And so, on his very first day of work, JV split his boss clean in half. Afterward, he even collected his wages and bought some nearly rotten meat. With his heart pounding, he headed home in fear of what was to come. First day on the job, and I already killed the boss. How am I supposed to explain this to Mom? Before long, he arrived at a rundown apartment building. He lingered at the doorway for a moment, then finally gathered his courage and pushed the door open. Inside, a beautiful female zombie was cooking. Beaming with joy, she called out, JV, you're back. Come sit, dinner's ready." Meanwhile, after the zombie assault in the city, police had cordoned off the area. A red-haired girl stood before the ruins, lost in thought. As the only survivor of the Milk Powder #1 supermarket, the senior gave her statement to reporters, but never mentioned JV. She simply claimed she was too terrified, fainted, and remembered nothing. Just then, a subordinate approached the red-haired girl. "Miss, this is the surveillance footage we recovered." On the screen was a shocking scene. JV locked in combat with a massive Type A Corpse King. The girl took the tablet from her subordinate. On screen, JV was swinging his chainsaw with feral intensity. The massive Type A Corpse King, several times his size, didn't even get the chance to react before being cleaved in half. The subordinate pointed toward the cracks running down the highway, and a skyscraper split clean in two. This little zombie is vicious. He not only shredded the Corpse King in mince, he devoured every last piece. The scene shifted back to JV at home. His mother straightened his clothes while reminding him, "When you're at school, listen to your teachers, okay?" His answer was nothing but a loud belch. His mother's smile vanished as she asked sternly, "JV, did you eat something unclean?" Flustered, he blurted, "Didn't eat anything," then bolted out the door. Walking down the street, lost in thought about what to do next, a hand suddenly clapped down on his shoulder. A teasing voice rang out. "What's on your mind, class rep JV? Thinking about some pretty girl?" Startled, JV tensed up instantly. The girl before him was Fong Yu, daughter of the city's mayor, with a mother who was a high-ranking officer. Afraid of exposing himself, JV quickly turned his head away, mumbling as he asked what she wanted. Fanya laughed. Of course I'm here for tutoring. You're the top student in the whole grade. Watching from behind, one girl whispered in confusion. Why would the princess of the city fall for a bookworm? Another scoffed. If studying could kill zombies, you'd worship him too. Holding Fanyu's notes, JV frowned. You're from a military family. This upgrade algorithm for nanomechanical parts shouldn't be wrong, right? Fanyu sighed helplessly. It's because of that weird zombie that popped up downtown yesterday. My family told me to investigate, but I still have to keep up with studies. I just don't want to mess up under pressure. Hearing that, JV's heart tightened. He quickly forced a calm expression and changed the subject under the guise of going over the lesson. Just then, Fanyu's eyes drifted to JV's clothes. JV, why does your shirt look like? Before she could finish, a piercing scream erupted from ahead. An Airbus A380 had struck a flock of birds, its engines failing instantly as the massive jet plunged downward. Panic erupted. Civilians screamed and scattered in every direction. JV froze at the sight, instinctively ready to run with the crowd. But right then, a woman clutching her infant tripped and fell directly in front of him. Shock jolted through him. His body nearly shifted as he prepared to transform. Suddenly, a sharp crack rang out behind him. The sound came from a glowing device in Fangyu's hand. With a rapid cack of machinery, swarms of nanobots spread across her arm. In less than 2 seconds, a full suit of armor enveloped her entire body. She dropped into a crouch, then braced herself, striking a sprinting stance aimed at the falling aircraft. With a sharp whoosh, she launched into the sky. In the blink of an eye, Fangyu appeared in front of the descending plane. As her mech arm shifted into attack mode, the nanotech forged a massive war blade straight out of Legend. Another SHHHK split the air. The A380 was cleaved in half by a single strike. Screaming passengers spilled out like severed kites, plummeting toward the ground. At that moment, Fangyu raised her arm, striking a javelin thrower's pose. Then she hurled her massive blade down toward the streets below. In the blink of an eye, the weapon split into countless smaller blades. Each one pierced the passenger's clothing with pinpoint accuracy, embedding into the skyscrapers lining both sides of the street. The passengers dangled midair, wide-eyed and dumbfounded. In an instant, they had become the brightest, strangest scenery the avenue had ever seen. Meanwhile, Fangyu and the broken jet both plummeted to the ground. With a thunderous boom, they struck the earth at the same time. The A380 split clean in two, crashed heavily onto the road, each half slamming to opposite sides. As the danger passed, the crowd erupted into cheers. That's the young lady's nanotech armor. Incredible. Surrounded by the roar of admiration, Fangyu's confidence soared. She struck a cool pose, basking in the worship of the masses. Meanwhile, on the other side, the woman who had fallen earlier opened her eyes, only to gasp in shock. JV was holding up the entire falling airplane with a single hand. He tossed the massive wreck aside with ease, then reached out to help her up. But the woman instinctively recoiled. In her eyes, JV was no longer a savior. He was something terrifying, something other. But when Fangyu turned her head in curiosity, the wreckage of the plane blocked her view, leaving her completely unaware of what had just happened. Afterward, the two of them returned to school together. In class, the teacher lectured from a thick history book. Fangyu's gaze never left JV. Meanwhile, JV listened intently to the lesson on human history. It was revealed that this era survived the zombie tide because of a single man. Long ago, there was a brilliant young man named Xiao Yin who became the lead programmer at a major tech corporation while still very young. His talent drew the admiration of countless admirers. But when the zombie outbreak began, everything changed. Humanity's territory shrank again and again until only one continent remained, surrounded on all sides by the sea. In the fight against the undead, what people needed were fighters, not coders. So this frail young man, who only knew how to type, lost his job. Yet, deep down, he knew the programs he was writing could change humanity's future. No one believed him, so he locked himself away in his room, fueled by sheer willpower, coding day and night without rest, revising and refining his work again and again. Days bled into nights, nights into years. The once handsome prodigy eventually became a disheveled, balding old man. In the end, he succeeded in creating humanity's very first nuclear-powered nanotech armor. At the very brink of civilization's collapse, he stepped forward without hesitation and activated the suit. With the raw might of the first-generation mech, he repelled the zombies and saved humanity's future. From that day on, he was celebrated as a hero. Though time has passed and years have faded, his descendants inherited his legacy, protecting mankind across generations. After the lecture, the class buzzed with excitement. But Fanyu's eyes stayed locked on AJV, her mind racing. It can't be wrong. His clothes, he's the zombie from that night. Meanwhile, AJV muttered under his breath, humans already have powerful thermal weapons. A single shell can turn zombies into paste, so why do we even need mechs? Fanyu suddenly cut in. You really are sharp. You're right. There is a hidden secret behind all this. I'll tell you the truth, but you'll have to answer one question for me first. Deal. When AJV nodded, Fanyu finally began to speak. A few days ago, she accidentally discovered her father working on something horrifying. He was equipping zombies with nanotech armor. Under her questioning, her father revealed the reason. Only zombies could unleash the mech's true power. The armor may have infinite energy, but for humans, piloting it drained tremendous stamina. Only the undead, with limitless endurance, could fuse with it perfectly. Over the centuries, as their family's bloodline weakened, they could never restore the mech to its original form. That was why he turned to using zombies as test subjects. Fanyu had been baffled. With the weapons we already have, wiping out zombies is enough. Why create something so terrifying? Her father's expression turned grim. Because we still live in an age where extinction could strike at any moment. There is something, we don't even know if it's human or zombie, but if it chose to, it could crush us as easily as an ant. It seems to possess endless life, existing from ancient times until now, hidden somewhere in this world. Hearing this, AJV's face twisted in shock. Eternal life? Could something like that really exist in this world? Fanyu replied coolly, believe it or not, this secret has been passed down through my family for generations. And that being, its name was said to be Jiangxi. All right, now it's my turn to ask. Back in the city center, the one who killed the Corpse King and saved all those civilians, was it you? AJV jolted in alarm, springing to his feet. You've got the wrong guy. Without waiting for her reaction, he bolted out of the room. His panicked escape only sharpened Fangyu's suspicion. From then on, no matter if AJV was brushing his teeth, jogging, or even heading to the restroom, Fanyu tailed him in secret. After school, AJV slipped out as fast as he could, not daring to waste a second. Fanyu, of course, followed right behind. This kid fell off even back when I caught that plane. He's definitely hiding something. As AJV nervously glanced over his shoulder, he suddenly collided with someone and fell hard onto the ground. Looking up, he found several street thugs blocking his path. Fanyu, who had just caught up, saw it all unfold. But instead of stepping in, she chose to watch quietly from the sidelines. Without a word, one of the punks swung a fist straight into AJV's face. Fearing that fighting back would expose his identity and force his mother to move again, he deliberately played the weakling, putting on a pitiful act. The blonde thug snatched up AJV's book and sneered. So you're just a broke loser, huh? What a waste of my time. With that, he kicked AJV hard, sending him sprawling to the ground. Laughing, the gang strutted off down the street. Watching AJV's miserable state, Fanyu finally began to dismiss her suspicions. She turned away, convincing herself, what am I thinking? It must have just been a coincidence with the clothes. Meanwhile, AJV bent down to pick up his scattered books. Suddenly, a hand reached down first, lifting one of them and holding it out to him. AJV quickly took it with a grateful smile, thanking the stranger again and again. But the next moment, that same hand clapped firmly onto his shoulder, and a voice said, not bad. Keeping your temper in check. That's what makes a good zombie. AJV froze in shock at the words. Looking up, he realized it was none other than the man who would one day become his boss, Jiangxi. AJV shot to his feet, shouting, who the hell are you? Jiangxi stopped in his tracks at the question. Jiangxi shifted into his second form, a chilling grin curling across his face. Remember this, kid. Never waste your temper on insects. A wave of killing aura surged forward, so heavy that JV couldn't even open his eyes. When he finally forced them open, the street was empty. Jiangxi had vanished without a trace. What was that? That guy, not quite human, not quite zombie. JV swallowed hard, his throat dry. That presence terrifying. Am I just cracking under pressure, seeing hallucinations? What he didn't know was that Jiangxi was tailing him from the shadows, watching his every move. Before long, JV arrived back at school. Seeing his disheveled state, his classmates immediately started whispering. Look, he got bullied again. Can't he fight back? What coward? The blonde thug, still gloating, waved his physical test sheet. Even if I can't pilot nanotech armor, becoming a mech soldier isn't bad at all. In this world that worships strength, bookworms like him are worthless. So what if he's smart? Studying won't kill zombies. With nanotech armor, who needs new weapons anyway? Hearing their mocking voices, JV lowered his head and walked silently toward the classroom. Fanya watched everything unfold, sighing to herself. Looks like I was overthinking. This guy has nothing to do with bloodlust or brutality. And yet, one thing still puzzled her. The Central District was supposed to be secure. Zombies were always kept outside the city's walls. How could they suddenly appear here? Meanwhile, Jiangxi stood atop a rooftop, gazing down at JV. Beside him, Xiaohei asked cautiously, "Boss, do you really think that kid can become one of us?" Jiangxi, now back in his first form, smirked. "Who knows? A test will tell us everything. Didn't you rescue that little lab rat? Set it loose. And let me spice things up." He slowly raised his hand. A sickly green glow flared, and on the empty ground outside the campus, drops of green blood seeped into existence. The droplets fused together, twisting into a sequence of genes. Flesh and bone began knitting themselves out of nothing. In mere moments, under Jiangxi's control, an army of zombies took shape. With a sudden clench of his fist, his body surged into its second form. At once, the zombies stirred to life, their eyes blazing with hunger. Among them towered colossal monstrosities, some over 10 meters tall. They clambered up the surrounding buildings, waiting only for Jiangxi's command to descend upon the humans. Meanwhile, JV sat in class, studying diligently, completely unaware that danger was closing in. At the same time, a man in a sharp business suit appeared at the school gates. He inhaled deeply, savoring the air of freedom outside. Then, without warning, chunks of flesh slid off his face. Panicked, he pressed the rotting skin back into place with his hand, muttering under his breath, "Almost gave myself away. This should be the school Lord Haim mentioned." This man was none other than the so-called rookie zombie, one of the rare undead with full consciousness. Dropping to his knees, he asked respectfully, "Lord Hay, what would you have me do?" Xiaohei tossed a stack of files at his feet and ordered coldly, "Go. Devour every human in this academy." The very same academy where JV was studying. The zombie's eyes gleamed with delight. "My first mission is a feast like this? Perfect. I despise humans the most." From the moment he could remember, he had endured endless torment under human experimentation. He had sworn long ago to reclaim everything stolen from him, to wipe out humanity and their descendants entirely. Yet unease crept into his thoughts. Strange, even the strongest mechs can't kill me. So why did Lord Hay assign me so many reinforcements? This little academy should be easy prey, unless there's something dangerous inside. Though confident in his strength, caution prevailed. Better scout it out first. Silently, he slipped into the principal's office. Wearing a mask of kindness, he feigned politeness. "Excuse me, sir, I could use your help with something." Meanwhile, on JV's side, his academic excellence had earned him special approval from the Education Bureau to take an accelerated exam. If he scored perfectly, he would be allowed early admission into the university. JV returned to his seat, thrilled to be holding the exam paper. "As long as I finish this test, I'll finally make it into university," he thought to himself. But just then, the school's loudspeakers blared to life. A message ordered all students to gather immediately in the indoor gym. Though reluctant to set his test aside, JV had no choice but to follow the announcement. On stage, the principal cleared his throat and announced, "Due to special circumstances, a new student has been assigned to our academy. Please welcome Mei Jiji. The principal cast a nervous glance at Mei Jiji, who stepped onto the stage and began a slow, deliberate self-introduction. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Seriously? We're already in high school, and someone's still transferring in. At that moment, JV was shoved forward by a group of punks, ending up right in the front row. Mei Jiji's gaze immediately locked onto him. So that's it. Lord Hay's mission was never going to be simple. There's already another of our kind here, which means this school must be his territory. These humans, there's livestock. Good thing I didn't just storm in. That would have been rude. Deciding that there was no need for conflict just yet, Mei Jiji chose to quietly observe JV first. Days turned into weeks, and soon, an entire month had passed. During that time, JV's life revolved around only two things: studying and walking to his next study session. Mei Jiji was utterly baffled. Does this guy never feed? Don't tell me studying is his substitute for food. And that face of his, it just screams easy target. What kind of zombie looks like that? But just as Mei Jiji resolved to keep watching, the blonde thug and his cronies strutted over, looking to pick a fight with a new transfer. The blonde thug slapped Mei Jiji on the shoulder and sneered, "New guy, I've seen you skulking around every day. Come with me. I've got something to say." Already in a foul mood, Mei Jiji perked up at the sight of him. Moments later, screams echoed from the school rooftop. Luckily for them, Mei Jiji only gave the thugs a scare. He didn't actually eat the three idiots. He chuckled darkly. "You should be grateful this isn't my turf. I'm not picky about food, but if I ate prey from his territory, I imagine he'd be pissed." With that, he smacked the blonde thug, sending his front teeth flying. Then he turned away. "Time I lay my cards on the table with JV. With so many humans in this academy, he should spare me a share." The next morning, JV sat in class, focused on his studies. A shy female classmate approached, holding something out. "This is ointment for cuts. It'll help your wounds heal faster. And this, pepper spray. Next time they try to bully you, just spray it in their eyes." With that, she reached out and patted JV gently on the head, then walked quickly out of the classroom. Staring after her, JV was left completely baffled by the strange gesture. Meanwhile, Fong Yu was secretly peeking from outside the doorway. She had also come to give JV medicine. Watching the scene unfold, she puffed her cheeks in annoyance, muttering, "Stupid JV, guess I was worried for nothing." Just then, she brushed past Mei Jiji as he arrived to see JV. The scent radiating from him immediately caught Fong Yu's attention. Mei Jiji slammed the classroom door open with a bang. The students gasped, whispering, "Did you hear? That new kid took down the school bully yesterday. Is he here to mess with JV too?" Mei Jiji strode straight to JV's desk, sat down beside him, and said bluntly, "Brother, you spotted me the moment I set foot in this school, didn't you? I know this is your turf. How about we split at 70-30? You take 70. When JV gave no reply, Mei Jiji pressed on, "Fine, 80-20 then?" Still getting no response. Mei Jiji gaped in disbelief. "No way. Brother, you're telling me you won't even give me a cut? Look at this school full of humans. Can you really consume them all by yourself?" The nearby students watched Mei Jiji lowering himself like this, completely baffled, unable to understand what the two were talking about. When JV remained silent, Mei Jiji tried again. "Fine, how about this? I'll just eat what you leave behind. Girls, top half's yours, bottom half's mine. Deal." JV still didn't answer. Mei Jiji's expression twisted into fury. "I've stooped this low, and you still won't agree? Kid, are you looking down on me?" Just as JV was about to mutter, "Whatever you want has nothing to do with me," Fong Yu burst into the classroom, shouting, JV, stay away from him." In the same instant, a spear flashed from her hand. Mei Jiji didn't even have time to react before it pierced straight through his chest, smashing him through the classroom wall and nailing him to the bright green turf of the soccer field outside. JV froze in shock at the sudden turn of events. The other students screamed in terror. Fong Yu strode forward, calling out to them, "It's dangerous here. Everyone get to safety." Standing before the shattered wall, her eyes locked tightly onto Mei Jiji's pinned body. Another weapon materialized in her hand as she snarled, "Do you take me for a fool or blind?" At those words, Mei Jiji dropped all pretense. Then I won't hold back. Fang Yu leapt onto the field, landing with a heavy thud. She quickly waved for the students to scatter, shouting, "He's a zombie!" No sooner had the words left her mouth than a thunderous boom erupted from Mei Jiji's body. His frame swelled grotesquely, muscles writhing. Moments later, grotesque zombies began tearing their way out of him. In the blink of an eye, the field was crawling with abominations of every kind. At the same time, flocks of flying zombies flooded in from outside the campus. With his summoning complete, Mei Jiji roared his command, "Seal off the area and capture every single human alive." As humans scattered in panic, Mei Jiji rolled his shoulders with a chilling grin. Pretending for a whole month was exhausting. Feels good to finally be myself again. Fang Yu immediately activated her armor. The nanotech suit surged across her body in a flash of light. But Mei Jiji showed no fear. Did you really think humans are the only ones who get to play with toys like this? With a savage tear, he ripped open his shirt. Fang Yu's eyes widened in shock. Strapped to his waist was an ancient transformation device. As it powered up, dark energy flared, and in moments a jagged exosuit of nanotech enveloped his body. This was the very project her father had been working on. The fleeing crowd noticed the disturbance, stopping in their tracks to look back, and what they saw left them speechless. No way! How can a zombie be wearing human-made nanotech armor? Mei Jiji smirked, taunting her. "Miss Fang, you should thank your father. He's the reason I can wield this power." At those words, a memory from her childhood flashed in Fang Yu's mind. Her expression froze in disbelief. Your name is Mei Jiji? Are you the zombie from my father's old lab?" Mei Jiji roared in fury. "That's right. I was one of the first test subjects, and you humans sterilized me. Your family's cruelty is burned into me forever. Today, I'll settle every score, old and new." Fang Yu dropped into a combat stance, eyes sharp. "Enough talk. Come and get me." Mei Jiji lunged, his fist slicing through the air like a cannonball. Fang Yu reacted instantly, ducking low to dodge. She swung her massive blade in retaliation, but he slipped past with ease, circling behind her. She turned sharply, only to be caught by a brutal kick to the stomach. The impact hurled her skyward, 100 meters into the air. Mei Jiji crouched low, muscles coiling, then exploded upward, soaring above her. "Filthy humans. Do you have any idea how I've suffered all these years? I'll repay the pain 1,000-fold." With a thunderous roar, his fist crashed down, smashing Fang Yu into the ground. The field erupted, the earth fracturing and splitting apart like shattered glass. Meanwhile, on the other side of campus, a girl was about to be torn apart by a zombie. At the last second, a wooden stick smashed across the creature's face. It was the delinquents, Blondie and his crew. Don't underestimate the Trashkin squad, damn it. Blondie barked orders for his boys to escort the others out through the back gate. But one girl shouted desperately, JV is still in the classroom. He's finishing his exam paper." Blondie froze, dumbfounded. "Are you kidding me? That idiot's doing homework right now? Forget him." Then he caught the pleading look in her eyes, a look that begged for a savior. His resolve cracked. "Damn it, we're classmates. We can't just leave him behind." Elsewhere, Fang Yu staggered after taking 2 devastating hits from Mei Jiji. A chill ran through her. What kind of power is this? He can run that armor at infinite overload. Suddenly, her father's words from childhood rang in her ears backslash. "Nanotech armor is our family's legacy. The greater the power, the greater the burden. To push beyond your limits without breaking, you must have unshakable conviction." The suit responds to willpower. Backslash. Clenching her fists, Fang Yu rose to her feet. Blue arcs of lightning erupted across her armor as its energy output soared beyond safety limits. Fixating on one goal, destroy Mei Jiji, she shattered through her own bottleneck, unleashing unprecedented power. In a blur, she shot forward, grabbing his face in an iron grip. Then, BAM! A savage elbow strike drove him down into the ground. The impact thundered like an explosion, the entire field cracking apart in a spiderweb of fractures. Meanwhile, inside the classroom, JV had just finished his university entrance exam. "Ha ha! Finally done. College, here I come." He had barely put the paper away when Blondie burst in, gasping for air. Before JV could react, Blondie grabbed him and bolted. "You're seriously doing homework right now? If it weren't for that girl begging me, I'd have left your sorry ass to die." Watching Blondie run with everything he had, JV suddenly thought, maybe he wasn't all that bad after all. But as soon as they stepped out of the classroom, Fong Yu and Mei Jiji's battle had already crashed into the area. The two were locked in a clash of equals, blows shaking the very walls around them. Just then, one of Blondie's lackeys shouted, "The back gate won't open." The dam principal reinforced the walls, 10 meters high with 100,000 volts of electricity. "Touch it, and you're fried." "That old bastard," Blondie cursed, kicking uselessly at the door. JV stepped forward. "Let me try." In seconds, he tore through the code of the digital lock, overriding the system, cutting the power, and swinging the gate open. Cheers erupted from the group. Blondie clapped him on the back. "Guestbooks really do come in handy at times like this. If we make out alive, I swear, I'll never bully you again." JV just sighed, utterly speechless. But the moment they rushed out, elation turned to dread. Their path forward froze them in their tracks. A towering zombie colossus stood guard, commanding a horde, blocking the human army's rescue attempt. Back on the battlefield, Mei Jiji sneered at Fong Yu. "This zone is sealed. You thought you could stall me and let the students escape? Foolish. Look behind you." Fong Yu turned her head, only to see every student surrounded by the undead. Even JV and Blondie had been forced back inside. Her teeth clenched. "I can't lose. There has to be another way." Rising into the air, she summoned her armor's full power. An arsenal of radiant weapons materialized around her in a storm of light. The textbooks were clear. A zombie's weakness lies in its head. Sever it, and the creature becomes nothing more than a corpse. With that in mind, Fong Yu locked onto Mei Jiji's skull. But he only grinned and lunged at her. "Trying to take my head? You're way out of your league." His fist thundered toward her. She barely dodged in time. Had it connected, she'd be crushed. The shockwave alone hurled nearby students across the gym like ragdolls. A JV school bag was caught in the blast, flung high into the air. Without thinking, he sprinted after it. His precious exam papers were inside. Blondie reached out to stop him, but it was already too late. Mei Jiji's aura surged, energy coiling tighter and tighter. Then, boom! His power erupted in full. The weapons Fong Yu had summoned shattered, the force smashing through her visor. One of the blades spun off course, slicing straight through JV's bag and the exam paper in two. In the same arc, the blade cleanly severed JV's head. A girl screamed, covering her eyes with both hands. Even Blondie and his gang froze, horror etched across their faces. Fong Yu's pupils dilated as she watched his head tumble across the ground, her mind refusing to accept what she was seeing. She readied herself for one last desperate strike, when Mei Jiji glanced over, chuckling. "Oops, friendly fire. My bad, brother." Mei Jiji threw back his head and laughed. "Ha ha, the unstable variable's gone. Now I can finally cut loose." Blondie and his crew instinctively turned toward where JV had fallen, and the very next second, their eyes nearly popped out of their skulls. JV was walking toward them, holding his own severed head by the hair. He planted a foot on Blondie's face and sneered. "Didn't you love bullying me before? What's wrong? Too scared now." With that, he punted Blondie across the room like a football. Students around them screamed, "Ghost! Ghost!" and bolted in every direction. Fong Yu spun around to the commotion, freezing in shock at the sight of headless JV striding forward. Mei Jiji followed her gaze and nearly pissed himself. "No way, this is insane." But instead of charging him, JV's attention was fixed elsewhere. His eyes locked onto the shredded remains of his exam paper. Mei Jiji's heart sank. He raised his hands. "Hey, it was an accident. I swear I didn't mean it." Too late. JV suddenly swung his own head like a mace. Whoosh! He hurled it like a cannonball straight at Mei Jiji. The zombie barely had time to blink. Crunch! The skull slammed into his chest, the sheer force launching him a full kilometer through the air before he crashed down like artillery. Students stood frozen, jaws hanging. He used his own head as a weapon. This is brutal. Is that really the same nerdy JV we knew? Blondie was on the ground, crying for his mom, utterly broken. A girl, trembling, whispered to JV, JV, I gave you medicine before, remember? But he ignored her. With a sudden crouch, the floor beneath him cracked apart. In the next instant, he launched forward like a missile. Whoosh! The shockwave tossing students through the air. From the rooftop, Jiangxi smirked. Not bad. That burst of power is impressive. Meijiji, still tumbling through the sky, barely regained his bearings. Staring at the flying head, he shouted, panic lacing his voice. What the hell are you? But JV's body had already caught up. He snatched his severed head midair, flipped forward, and landed right above Meijiji. Wait, brother, listen to me first, Meijiji pleaded. His only reply was a chilling, murderous laugh. Snarling, Meijiji roared back. Don't push me too far. Do you think I'll just take this? Crack! JV swung his own skull like a hammer, smashing it into Meijiji's chest. A blinding green flash erupted as Meijiji plummeted downward. On the ground, both soldiers and zombies froze, all eyes drawn to the scene. Civilians screamed, scattering in sheer terror. Boom! JV landed first, the shockwave ripping fissures through the earth. Before Meijiji even touched down, JV hurled his head again. The blow struck, sending Meijiji soaring back into the sky. Crush! He smashed straight through a skyscraper, glass and concrete raining down in torrents. Just as JV was about to give chase, the surrounding zombies swarmed in, enclosing him on all sides. At the command of the towering corpse beast, the horde surged like a tidal wave. JV's eyes narrowed. He spun around sharply. Then he roared, a sound that split the sky itself. The shockwave was devastating. Zombies instantly vaporized into ash. Even nearby humans were blasted back, blood pouring from their ears and noses. With a cold snort, JV crouched low. Boom! He launched upward like a living cannonball, resuming his pursuit of Meijiji. Soldiers on the ground stared, dumbfounded, at the figure soaring with his own severed head in hand. One of them stammered into his comm, Director, there's a man flying with his own head. He's tearing through the zombies. In the sky, JV caught up to Meijiji. Once again, he swung his head like a weapon, slamming it brutally into his foe. Meijiji wailed, utterly powerless, tossed around like a rag doll. Xiao He frowned, murmuring to Jiangxi, King, that one won't last much longer. Jiangxi only sneered. So, the brat has immortality? That makes him far more interesting. Meanwhile, with JV clearing the battlefield, the human army finally breached the campus and began their rescue. As a female classmate supported Fong Yu toward the exit, boom, something massive crashed down from above. It was Meijiji, once again hurled to the ground by JV. Moments later, JV himself landed with a thunderous quake, cracks spiderwebbing across the earth. The sight of him froze everyone in terror. Xiao He scribbled frantically, reporting to Jiangxi, My king, this one's readings are near perfection. His deformity index is flawless, exactly what you envisioned. His physical attacks defy logic. If he matures unchecked, once he hits rebellion, human society could collapse. He paused, then added, though one final trait remains untested. On the field, JV calmly reattached his own severed head. Under the horrified stares of soldiers and survivors alike, his hair writhed, his muscles shifted and hardened. With a bone-rattling roar, he completed his metamorphosis into the true JV. Fong Yu gasped, eyes wide. Holy crap, that short zombie earlier was really you. From afar, the battered Meijiji croaked weakly. I already apologized for wrecking your exam paper. You said the students were mine. Why attack me? JV sneered, voice dripping with mockery. When did I ever promise you that? They're all mine. If I don't remember it, then I never said it. Meijiji's fury exploded. Shameless liar, a disgrace to zombies. You're as vile as the humans themselves. He roared, staggering upright. Don't think I'm afraid of you. The air crackled with murderous intent as the two prepared to clash again. Off to the side, Fong Yu and her classmates crept toward the exit, trembling, the chilling thought hitting them. JV might be even more terrifying than Meijiji. Yet just as they were about to reach the academy gates, A thunderous whoosh split the air, a massive boulder hurtling down from the sky. Crash! It slammed into the entrance, sealing off their only escape. Panic spread like wildfire. Hope drained from their faces, leaving only dread. Then a shadow loomed behind them. Ajv stepped forward, lips curling into a sadistic grin. "Didn't I say?" he growled. "You all belong to me. Without my permission, no one leaves."